Welcome to our new interview series, of which I will be hosting Scraps of Memories. So in the future, we're probably going to try and put out one or two of these more before the tag tournament, and then I'm going to see if I can do one after each round of the tag tournament. In the future, we'll select people based off of merit for the most part, and maybe go week by week, what you do to earn a spot on there. Maybe first week, whoever has the most kills. Another week, whoever has the fewest deaths or best record. We'll determine that more in the future. I thought it would be fun. We could do interviews for some of the leading players of the community. And to that end, our first episode is going to be here with Reborn Gaignun. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And so the reason we have him on here is quite simply he managed to win both of the previous tournaments, the 1v1 and the 2v2 tag tournament, roughly in a similar amount of time. And so let's just lead off with that. Reborn, how was it? How did it feel winning both tournaments back to back?
Well, there was a lot going into it. So many of us have been playing this game on and off for, a decade now, right? Like, was it 2004? More than a decade? I don't even know. It's crazy. And I remember with you specifically, we played tournaments back in the day. And I feel like there was some guy that made it hard to win. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Everybody remembers I do.
Yeah, so, that was a thing. So that memory of the hardship of approaching IDOOM, beating that was a good feeling. All the other rounds, were impressive. Our games with Xanxus and Xanxus and you and PD had some very tense moments also. But for fulfillment factors, I mean, I won when I kicked IDOOM out of the top bracket, in my opinion, right? That's just, there we go, I did it. Similarly in the 1v1, me and Xanxus played in this didn't count 1v1 tournament that no one paid attention to, right? Because I lost the first time. And
it doesn't count because you lost?
That's precisely the reasoning. Didn't count because I lost. So then we played the only real 1v1 tournament and beating Xanxus in an amazing match, super technical match. That felt really good. It was a lot of things that I've wanted for a while, right? So it's good stuff there.
Yeah, I think it was really impressive. It was a lot of fun watching your matches in both of the tournaments. And it was really nice because we get to see most of yours because you were able to record that. Hint to the rest of the Fandom Dust community entering this tournament. If you can record your matches, it's so awesome for the rest of us. Next question, I think you touched on a little bit, but what was your hardest matchup or just the toughest moment for you in the tag tournament?
So I'll think on the macro and the micro here. On the micro, a very specific moment. This is on video, and you can see it. And you can see me not outwardly freaking out, but inwardly, oh gosh. I'm playing against a certain Doom and Ronin. We're on Highway. This is game 1 because we banned Palace. This is in the elimination bracket. I have 1 aura. I hit the back button. I have 0 aura. And I'm a cartwheeler in an open spawn on Highway, and they're coming at me with Dazzle and Blasters. This was the worst feeling in Phantom Dust, right? Physically the worst feeling. And it was a very hard game. It took a lot to scrape out that win, which led to a winning series, luckily. But yeah, that moment, like an anime protagonist coming from the bottom, no one would have ever mentioned before.
Yeah, that was a rough moment. I remember watching that and just thinking, wow, if they actually pull off this win, that'd be impressive.
Mm-hmm. And then alternatively, in a whole match set, there were a lot of them that were notable in the tag tournament. The one that was the tensest was the first match with Doom, because Doom was Doom the unbeatable, Doom the god, Doom I have a perfect record. I played Xanxus with a perfect record also, but we get to see them more in some casual games and scrims. They're more approachable players, where Doom didn't get on a lot. And when he got on, he had a full room, and it was serious games. And so when you see him in a tournament, it's like facing a bear and not an old friend, even if your old friend is a bear.
You have old friends that are bears.
And some of them have horns. This is an aside. But yeah, so that match, I remember Murder told me today, actually. We were just talking about how he gets overexcited by playing. And I told him that he screamed like a girl, and he says that it was a manly grunt or something, but he screamed like a girl when we won that match. Absolutely did. 100%. His wife was worried about him.
As she should be. Especially going to the next tournament. He's not playing with you. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up. But one thing we've talked about in the past in some of the podcasts is that you have a budding rivalry with Xanxus. I don't even know if budding is the right word. You've had, 4 occurrences now, or 5? You played each other 3 times in the tag tournament, or was it twice?
It's 5 total.
5 total.
One in the Swiss, twice elimination. We were the only ones who beat him in elimination. Or, I guess, at all in tag. And then twice in 1v1. One of them didn't count, as I said earlier.
Oh, no, it counted. And, yeah, you've won some, you've lost some. How do you feel about your rivalry that's been going on with Xanxus?
Well, so this is something that's really interesting, in that when we played, specifically our last... I'm going to use Palace in our last match. This is for all the cookies, right? And we played, and you saw me and Xanxus with a very similar setup, and our partners as well. We had, Nature Faith, Swords, Willow, Rian, and our partners had some nature support skills with Decoy. And it was like a mirror, right? And it was very close to equatable. We took it, whether that was from practice or technical skill or whatever you will equate it to. But so much similarity there. I've built arsenals and then jokingly renamed them after his arsenals because I realized how similar they ended up being, except that I play a reasonable amount of Aura, Xanxus. But yeah, so there's a lot there. It's actually going to be different in this tournament because I'm playing with a different partner. We're going to get that later. But you're going to see me taking a different role in tag, and that will change that particular matchup's dynamic greatly.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll all be interested to see that one coming up. We'll do a kind of a one-off question before we jump back into some of those more about the tag tournament. I was going to ask you, when you first started playing Phantom Dust, what was the first skill that you ever fell in love with and why?
So it's like a million years ago, right? So it's hard to completely be sure. Something that came to mind when you say this, maybe like the first thing that comes to mind, is I really love Stormblade. It felt unfair, right? Because you got stuff that out of their hand repeatedly, and attacks are scary because, especially a new player, doesn't know how to dodge attacks. Therefore, they likely don't know how to dodge Stormblade. And so the ability to just say, hey, that's gone repeatedly, it's beautiful.
Interesting. Yeah, Stormblade can be a really effective skill. And I guess now jumping back into the tag tournament then, let's talk about the current roster of teams we have right now. Right now, so far signed up, we have Kamikaze Mario and Some Poor Choices, Evolution and Sandal, new team Fel Warren and Nightpack, Monkey and myself, Xanxus and Xexus, yourself and Mr. Math, Nathan and Wolf, Affin Show and Filthy, Murder Mastodon and Jay, Pop Crank and Unstoppable Gur, and then we have Ebony Scarface and Brogod J Mark. And with that current roster we have, what team are you most looking forward to facing so far?
So I have 2 answers, and they're based on very different things. I want to play Evolution and Sandal because it's going to be entertaining no matter what happens. I don't think they're going to bring your standard Nature Faith or Brian deck. I find that very unlikely. I don't think it's just going to be grindy games. I think it's going to be outside the box very far. And so that'll just be a blast. And and Sandal's a good dude that I just like playing against in general. Alternatively, one of our oft co-hosts, Some Poor Choices, this is his first tag tournament. And I need to show him what tag tournaments are like. I really just want to beat on him endlessly. Everyone else I want a good match with. I want to 3-0 him with a flame sword just standing over his body. I mean, have a really good competitive match.
He
Uh,
he's got, the internet persona version of a punchable face. Like he's just somebody that you want to take down and just kind of mash into the ground. I agree.
uh, Pursuit against some players is just a good aura efficient way to hurt them. Pursuit against some board choices is personal.
And so let's talk about your team coming into this new tournament. You're going to be partnering this time with Mr. Math, and I know you're actually going to be playing as a jumper to round out the skill set of your team now. You're going to be switching from a cartwheeler to a jumper. So was going to ask first, tell me a little bit about why you chose Mr. Math as your partner for this tournament.
Well, I was looking at. I realized that this tournament thing started getting to be huge, and I was excited. And I'm like, oh shoot, I need to play it. And me and Murder agreed that changing things up will just be good for the whole thing, right? Like, they'll have twice as much chance to play against returning champions. We'll see new tactics, new groupings, new personalities.
Plus, everybody else was doing it. Just seems like the thing to do, right?
Yeah, but then I'm like, who do I play with besides Murder? I still play with him more than other people because he's just a good dude. So I was thinking to players that I had synergy with, and I know Matt's playstyle really well, mostly from the other side of the table. Often playing against him, and in fact, players like Jay that Murder ended up with. These are people who I play against a lot, and so I know them well, and we have rapport playing in the games. Our grouping, I was thinking about the dynamic. I was saying this would be reverse. If Murder was my decoy frightened bot behind me, who was just like pot-shotting with blasters, Math is most at home in a aggressive spot, a spotlight, if you will, a come in there without a defense and cartwheel because I can get away with it. Yay, cartwheelers! So you might see a flex to something more supportive, more back into the map kind of play, whatever that will end up entailing. Changing to a jumper, I actually realized, like, currently female jumper, it could change, but the timing is very close to a cartwheeler, and so it feels natural-ish, as natural as not the same thing you've done for 10 years can be, in any instance. But we know what can happen to double cartwheelers. We've seen it. It's just, double jumpers is probably acceptable, double cartwheelers is dangerous. That doesn't mean I won't ever flex to it, but, yeah.
Okay, well, one final question before we begin to wrap up. If aliens invaded the Earth, yes, aliens invaded the Earth, and they had to build a team to beat you in this tag tournament, what two-player combo would you be most afraid of? This could be any set of players, not an existing partnership or a combination of partnerships.
Well, so if I had to think about what are things that mess up Reborn Gaignun, and we like bringing up games that don't count in 1v1 in tournaments, right? So the ones that didn't matter. So remember that Shadow Shield game that didn't count because it didn't happen?
Yeah.
So unknown players I don't get to play against. If the game is about a meta because we have so much information now and we play each other, we know each other, we have video, unknown players or people who aren't sets that I play with a lot are a little more dangerous. Shadow Shield was, had a really good plan that maybe it doesn't work against a very prepared player, but there was no such thing as a prepared player at the time. So if I wanted to combine some people that could catch me off guard, I would combine Shadow Shield and Silent. Silent is going to do some kind of tomfoolery that will probably try to lock me down in place, in which case I'm going to take a large amount of damage from something at short range. That's what I feel like would happen. And even if I didn't lose, I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't enjoy it.
All right, Silent and Shadow Shield, who are both waiting to see if they enter the tournament. So interested to see. Maybe we'll end up with that combo, and you could have them round one.
I'll play so much Guard of Water.
So to wrap up, then, is there anything you'd like to say to your eventual competition or whoever may be your week one matchup?
I'm just excited for more rounds, something new. I was thinking back and rewatching my first round in the Swiss last time, and it was so cool to just see players who, this is a new team, this is a new meta, we don't know what's going to come out. There was a lot of flavor. By the end of this tournament, we might see things settle, but it could be anything, and I'm excited for that.
Okay.
So bring out your craziest plans.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being a part of this and for all the play and work you do in the community for recording your own matches. And I hope you guys will tune in, and I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll have more of these interviews coming in the future if you guys enjoy them. Thanks for watching Scraps of Memories.